Hello and welcome to Anderson Community Television. I'm Carol Donahue, your host today of At Your Service. And we are so pleased that we have joining us today Amy Meyer, who is the Anderson Township Events Coordinator.
Yes.
Welcome, Amy.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, I think today we're going to talk about the Heritage Center.
Yes.
And for our viewers who maybe are not familiar with that location, tell us a little bit about the property.
The Heritage Center is a historic home built in the 1800s, and it is on the corner of Forest and 8 Mile. If you've driven by the township, you've probably seen it. It's a big white home with a big gazebo outside. Green space backs up to it, so it's a gorgeous home. And the Park District was running it for a long time, and then we have taken that back over from the Park District now, and are handling all of the rentals, the maintenance, the landscaping, everything that has to do with it now.
Yeah, I read that in the paper where they did an article saying, you know, for years it had been run by the Park District, and they're maintaining it, they're doing the work, and you all are doing the management.
Yes, so now it's back to us pretty much doing everything for it, including the rentals.
Well, this seems like just an ideal place for events that we have in our lives, weddings. Why don't you comment what you've had there?
Recently, in the past, we've actually had some memorial services that have tended to work out very well. We've had open houses for graduations. We've had birthday parties, and all of those more on a smaller scale. I would say 50 people or under, because the inside of the building is an old home, so it is separate rooms. You are allowed to bring in food yourselves. We are coming up with a new alcohol policy, so that'll be hopefully here soon. Boy, am I relieved,
because you know I love it.
Most of the time, and that's like the events here. For events, if requiring alcohol, we require you to go through a licensed caterer that carries liquor liability insurance. We as the township do not carry that liquor liability insurance. So once we took over the Heritage Center, we have decided for groups of 50 or under to make that a little bit more feasible for our guests, that we are going to have a waiver for them to sign a release form of a sort if they want to have alcohol on the premises. And that's going to be fine with us because we also will be staff in that building during the time of your event. So you will have staffing there as well.
As a courtesy to the individual, do you have a list of suggested maybe caterers or people they can contact to help them?
We do on our website, and I'm sure that'll roll across your screen here. But on our website, AndersonCenterEvents.org, under the links button, we have a list of preferred caterers. Now, you are not required to use one of those caterers. If you decide to use a caterer that you've used in the past or you like, we're more than willing to let you use those caterers. Here we get copies of their catering certificate and their insurance as well.
I see. Now, is there something that is prohibited there? Or say I would like to have some type of a party, or is there a time element that you have to be out by 11 p.m. or?
You don't have to be out of the inside of the building by 11, but if you are having an event outside with music, a DJ, that does have to be turned off at 11 p.m. And that is the same for our facility as well. If you're having an outdoor reception here, the music just has to be turned off by 11 and quieted down. And that's kind of for the whole township. It's kind of, courtesy to the neighborhood. Absolutely.
Now, I don't know where I heard this, that at certain events that are in the township that there has to be a policeman or a guard assigned? We
have that as township discretion. So if it is a very large event, multiple bars, we might require you to go ahead and have a township sheriff, Hamilton County Sheriff, on duty there for you, but it's not demanded every time somebody rents here. So it is township discretion.
And I also read that there is a decorator, there's someone helping freshening it up. And
there is a decorator working with the trustees and Vicki Earhart, Township Administrator. We've actually had a lot of the furniture inside reupholstered. The township is acquiring new tables and chairs for the inside of the building, as well as white padded garden chairs for the outdoors. The Heritage Center is also a perfect venue for an outdoor ceremony and tented reception. And we have packages that include your tables, your chairs, your linens, the tent, all the permits, set up and tear down. So it is a great package that we've come up with to help promote the beginning of us taking on the venue. So we're really excited about that. It is, I know you said limitations. It is a non-smoking grounds and facility, as well as this is here as the township property. Other than that, there's small restrictions, but not a whole lot. They're easily.
Now, what are we looking at as far as time for reservations? How far ahead are you booking?
We are booking in through 2014. So all you brides that have gotten married or engaged over the holidays, feel free to call me, because we are booking. My calendar goes out through 2015. So our weekends here at the center are starting to get pretty booked up for next year for weddings, receptions. We have a lot of reunions, high school reunions, Turpin, Anderson, McNick reunions come here as well. We're not quite as booked as at the Heritage Center, but because we did just take that on as one of our venues. So multiple bookings, multiple places. We definitely still have a lot of dates open, but we are booking into 2014 and have pricing for that.
Just to give our viewers an idea of what we're looking at as is that like a down payment, as a deposit? How does that work?
The Heritage Center, we require a $150 deposit. That deposit's fully refundable up until a month before your event. It is returned to you after your event. It's also a damage deposit as well. So we have 30 days after your event to return that check to you. Here at the Anderson Center, depending on which room you use, the deposit varies.
So if one was to reserve the Heritage Center, there's a deposit, but there's no charge to use it?
No, there's a rental fee as well.
Oh,
The
okay.
deposit is just taken to hold your date, and it's also the damage deposit. And then your rental fee is not due until a month before.
Do you ever schedule 2 events in one day where somebody...
Not at the, well, I take that back. If it's a wedding at the Heritage Center, absolutely not, because you will get the rooms upstairs for a bridal, kind of a bridal suite. There's a restroom upstairs, so you can get ready. It's just real nice to have your own little space to get ready away from everybody else and everything that's going on downstairs. So we pretty much give you the day at the Heritage Center for the day of your wedding. Here, we like to get you in by noon. A lot of times if we don't have an event the night before, we will set up your big event on Friday night if there's no events, and then you can come in at 9. So it really just depends on the scheduling. The only way I would book 2 events, especially at the Heritage Center, if one was maybe in the early morning,
Like a coffee
like an 11
or
to
breakfast?
2, and then something else probably starting at 4 or 5. But when it comes to our larger events, I only book 1.
I see. Now, why don't you sort of compare and contrast if someone is looking for a facility, say they start here at the Anderson Center. There's more than one room you can look at.
Yes.
How many rooms are there?
We have our large conference room, which is at the front of the building when you walk in. That can hold about 20 to 25 people, depending on how you want it set up. We also can set it up theater style, and that is our nonprofit room, but we also rent that room out. So if you are a nonprofit organization or a community group, civic group, we will let you use that up to 12 times a year at no charge. And we can set that up accordingly. And then you move on to our community meeting room, which is 3 sections of a room, but when opened up all the way, it makes kind of a big L-shaped area. So we can divide it up into smaller groups of 40 or 50 and open it all the way up to groups of 200 if you just have a seated, event and that's all that's going on in that room. So it varies. When it comes to the Heritage Center as well, like I said, the smaller groups for inside, about 40. Outside, we can accommodate up to 200 with the tent.
Well, I've been fortunate enough to be at both places for different events, and it was lovely here at the Town Center one time where there was a piano that was brought right near the doorway, and someone played, and it was lovely. Now, that's not available at the Heritage Center.
Correct. Yeah, there is no kitchen either at the Heritage Center. There's a kind of a sink and a small refrigerator, so your caterers or yourself would have to be, come prepared to serve. There is a microwave, yes.
I see.
And we provide tables and the chairs, and we set it up and we tear it down now as well.
Well, I understand too the photo ops here at the Town Center. You have the beautiful stairway and whatever, but also you're doing some improvements to the landscaping.
Yes, we will be taking over all of the landscaping there. We're hoping to move the gazebo. I don't know if many of you have driven by and seen where the gazebo is. We're trying to move it to a better location, a prime location, to where if you have something going on in the gazebo, the background is green space versus the background being 8 Mile Road. road. So it's a little more conducive to events and a little more private and secluded and just a prettier area for photographs once we get that moved. I'm not sure of the date, but we officially take over the Heritage Center December 1st.
Oh, so you've already done that?
Yes, we've taken rentals and that type of thing, the phone calls, and we've housed a few events there ourselves. But our official takeover date is December 1st, and that's when we'll have the Park District will be moving out all of their furniture the week of Thanksgiving, and we'll be moving all of ours in. So.
I see. Now, if someone, say they're too late for their first choice, what other areas are there here that can be rented?
If we don't have anything here and we don't have anything at the Heritage Center, we also rent out our Senior Center on Beachmont Avenue, and that's behind the fire station and by the sheriff's office there. We rent that out at nights and on the weekends as well. They're open until 4, so we don't have any events in there until after that. And then also our Anderson Center Station, which is the smaller building on top of the hill by us. It's a maximum of 40 people. It's also where the farmers market's held, so that's how most people attribute that building. But we rent that out at nights and on weekends as well due to the bus traffic. We don't rent that out during the day. So it's the Anderson Center here, the Heritage Center on 8 Mile and Forest, the Anderson Senior Center on Beachmont Avenue, and then the Anderson Center Station.
Now, the Senior Center, would you have kitchen facilities there?
We don't have kitchen facilities there either. They do all of their Meals and Wheels out of their kitchen, and they have a lot of stock and that type of thing, so we don't use the kitchen there. So most of your caterers nowadays come all prepared anyway, and they don't need the use of a kitchen to be able to do a full heated meal, and most of them are fine with that.
Do you have a cancellation list, just if somebody's really intrigued by this, but it's booked?
I do create a list. We will hold a date for 2 weeks without any kind of deposit. So if you come and see our facility and you're in love with it, but we're number one that you started looking and I understand you still want to look at some other facilities, we will hold your date for 2 weeks without any kind of deposit. Your deposit also is fully refundable up until a month before your event. So we do have a very lenient deposit policy. A lot of people want half down and it's non-refundable. I would rather say you don't want to have your event here and be able to book it with somebody else. And I mean, everybody's on a budget nowadays. And
it's true.
So.
What's the cleanup policy?
We just ask at both facilities, actually at all the facilities, that trash is put in the trash cans. If you have centerpieces, those are taken off the tables, just so our staff can come in. If you have linens, take the linens off and reset up for the next event. So we don't require you to sweep or vacuum, mop. We take care of all of that.
Some of the functions that one could have could involve small children, and I was wondering with spills and.
We have birthday parties. We have the Anderson Center Station is great for small birthday parties. It is an all tiled floor, so in case you do have those spills, it's very easily to clean up. The Senior Center is hardwood floor, but then their dining room also is ceramic flooring, so those are all good as well. And then our carpet, I mean, we have it cleaned twice a year and then spot cleaned by our cleaners, so we haven't had any tragedies yet.
There's all sorts of pluses and minuses to these. The Heritage Center, it just, when you're there, you feel like a sense of history, like Anderson just didn't develop 25 years ago, the sense of history. And if someone is interested, there's some great information on the township website.
Yes.
You probably know a bit about the history. I mean, it was originally obviously a single-family residence, and I think I read that the land was actually purchased in the end of the 1700s.
Yes.
And the family started building the house in the 1800s.
Right, and then I can't remember the date for all of them, the renovations that have been done to the house. Yes, and we are currently, checking on the roof. There's one restroom upstairs that's non-functional. We're making that functional. So we're going in and really, sprucing it up a little bit, fresh paint, but keeping all of the history of it intact.
And so obviously it is air conditioned?
Yes.
And good heating system?
Yes, good heating system, yes.
So, well, that is there's so much coming up, and, here it is, we're in winter, and it's hard to be thinking about 4th of July or graduations, but this is the time to think about it.
This is the time, and our theater is constantly booked. If you get your Anderson Insights, the back of that is our Connect page, so it has all the groups on there, their phone numbers, their websites for all the activities going on in the theater. Our Tea and Tiaras is coming up on February 23rd.
Now, if somebody doesn't know what that is, what is
Tea and
it?
Tiaras, we started about 2 years ago. It sells out every year, so we'll have tickets starting in January, so get them early. The tickets are going to be $15, but what it is we have a, it's kind of like a tea social, girls, grandmas, moms, all coming out for the day. We always say dress in your Sunday best for Tea and Tiaras. So it's nice to see all the girls get dressed up and the ladies and wear your tiaras. And then we also have acquired the Cincinnati Ballet again this year. So they do one of their educational programs in our theater. So we go in for tea, dessert, and a small luncheon. And then everybody goes on into the theater for the ballet performance, which is fantastic. So it's been a great event, and I'm excited to do it again next year.
What's amazing what that theater is used for, we have a really good friend who's a dentist here in Anderson, and he started taking piano lessons, and I don't know if you know who I'm
I
talking
know
about.
exactly what you're talking about. Yes, he did.
And we've been invited each year, and he gives every one of his guests a CD. And it is amazing. And then I have another friend who is a piano teacher, and I think she has used it for recitals.
Yes, we have a violin actual recital coming up. The Cincinnati Chamber Orchestra is here. The Anderson Community Band is here, along with all of our theater groups. And our theater groups keep growing as well. So,
don't you have 3 groups, or is it?
We have the Beachmont Players, Brea B Productions, and the Forest Airs. Those have been our 3 longest groups that are here. In December, we have Schoolhouse of Rock. They're new. This is their first time coming. We have Theater in the Loop, a children's theater, Tina Bruno's Children's Theater, IHM, Anderson High School's been here. So the list goes on, and it just keeps growing. So that is another room. My calendar goes out through 2017. For the theater, because we do have a lot of those groups that like to book that same week every year. And that makes my job easy, because then I can just plug them into the same weeks every year, and we know those are taken and those are their dates. It is on a first come, first served basis, but we do like to pay tribute to our ones that have been there since the beginning, and you know, give them opportunity to keep that same week every year.
And we have also a friend who's a financial advisor, and one year he brought in a Spanish guitarist, classical guitar, and he had a little luncheon or little snacks
afterwards.
Yeah, and that was lovely. So it's amazing if you just think what can be done with that space.
Oh yeah, I mean, it can be used for small piano recitals too. Mercy Hospital does a lot of their women's health events here. So they'll do kind of a vendor fair in the lower atrium, and then go up and do their presentation in the theater. So it is used for business as well as community theater. You know, it's a combo, so it can be used for numerous things.
Now, if someone has any questions, they can call you here at the center.
Yes.
And your information will be on our screen with your email.
Yes.
And I believe we've had some pictures that our viewers have seen of the facilities. So again, just a short recap, we have the Heritage Center, which is at 8 Mile
and Forest.
And then we have the Community Center here.
Yes. And that's on 7850 5 Mile Road. So we're on 5 Mile, in between the Mercy Healthplex, and I always say Macy's, Kmart, Group Health Associates, kind of right in between the two there.
And the smaller facility by the farmers market?
Yes, the Anderson Center Station.
And then for those who are not familiar with the Senior Center, that is located?
That, I don't know the exact address, but it is on Beachmont Avenue, behind the fire station and the Hamilton County Sheriff's Station. Yes.
And there's a lot of parking there, which is really nice.
Yes.
Well, this is so great of you to take the time to keep us updated on what's happening in our township. And again, if viewers have questions, they can contact you.
Feel free. Yes.
So we wish you a Merry Christmas.
Thank you very much. You as well.
Happy New Year.
Yes.
And we wish all of our viewers very happy holidays and all the best in the coming new year. And keep Anderson Township in mind planning your parties. Thank you.